And we are live. It's Dr. Justin Marchegiani in the house with Monica Cox. Today, we're going to be talking all about infertility. We'll be talking about Monica's story. And she is a functional nutrition, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So she deals with a lot of fertility cases. And she even had her own story. So we're going to dive into all things fertility. We'll connect it to nutrition. We'll talk about labs and root barriers that could be holding your fertility back. So, Monica, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super
Yeah.
excited for this conversation.
Awesome. Me too. Excited to chat with you. Well, let's dive in. So first off, I know you said your story is long. Why don't you just give us a quick little just summary brief? I know you said we'll kind of weave it into the conversation, but just talk about some of your kind of fertility challenge out of the gates, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, just like most women, 27 years old, regular cycle, thought, yep, this is going to be easy. And 3 years later, still not even a hint of one positive pregnancy test. And they just sent me to do IVF. That was the answer.
Mm,
And so I did a round of IVF and it was a complete shambles. I mean, we saw nothing. We had very highly fragmented embryos. And because my husband's sperm was fine, they said, well, it's you. You have low A quality and there's nothing you can do about it. And sitting in that meeting, which we lovingly call the WTF meeting, what just happened, I intuitively knew that was complete BS. I had no knowledge of functional medicine, how the body works, the endocrine system,
hmm
gut health, but I just knew that didn't make sense. I was only 30. How could I be where I was at? And so they said, do IVF again. And we said, no, we'll just take a break. And
Yeah.
so we went down the rabbit hole. That is functional medicine. That is
Yeah.
changing up your diet and your lifestyle. And
Sure.
we did it for about a year and I saw amazing improvements, just like everyone here, right? You see your health, your gut health, your skin, your sleep, your mood, your PMS symptoms go away.
Were you having a lot of those symptoms before? So you had fertility, right? That was your goal. But were there a lot of other health challenges going on in the background that you didn't connect to the fertility?
With hindsight, yes,
Hmm.
but on medical paper, no. Like I
Right.
did not have a diagnosis. I didn't even have like a thyroid issue or anything that they were like really a hormonal issue that they were
Right.
over worried about. But all the normal and common health issues, absolutely. Gut health issues, constipation,
Hmm.
diarrhea, bloating, PMS, which is us women shouldn't have PMS the way that they tell us we should have it. The fatigue, the brain fog, the joint pain, classic early symptoms of, autoimmune. But at that time, this is about 15 years ago, like no one was talking about it, and especially not linking it to fertility issues. So fertility, the like unexplained diagnosis and then the low A quality was my red flag, like, hey, something's going on. And I just had enough intuition to be like, this isn't normal. It's just not one of those things. Like a healthy functioning woman shouldn't not get pregnant, especially with like medical
Right.
assistance, right? Um, so a year passed, I still hadn't seen one positive pregnancy test. So I once again followed my intuition and I found a book called Is Your Body Baby Friendly? Now, this is not a holistic book. This is a very medical book, and it's one of the first doctors linking autoimmune, blood types, different things to fertility. And I found a clinic who was doing the testing, which is still like controversial to this day. And the doctor we saw once, he talked me out of it. He said, "You're not having reoccurring miscarriages. This isn't your issue. Just try IVF again. It's an expensive test." So I listened. uh, and the IVF was a success in that we got healthy embryos. So the one thing they told me I couldn't do was improve my egg quality. And doctors will still die on that hill that that's not possible. And because of my age, my age was a factor. And so we made better embryos, but I still didn't get pregnant. I didn't even make it to day 28 on that cycle. And so that's when we demanded that autoimmune testing like, hey, you know, this is not normal. I have been perfect for a year physically, diet, lifestyle, yoga, mindset. And there it was. I still had high natural killer cells, high enough for them to be worried about it.
Were you
And
making
then
antibodies at all to the egg or to the sperm at all?
I don't really know.
Mhm.
All that we got told was that I had elevated natural killer cells.
Yep.
They had seen worse, and with hindsight, mine probably would have been triple, double, quadruple if I would have got that test at the beginning of my fertility journey.
Right.
But with that knowledge, I went deeper into the functional medicine side. There was a blog called the Paleo Mom at the time. Most people now know her, Dr. Sarah Ballantyne, and she was saying, hey, your gut health could be one of the root causes of an autoimmune issue. So I just went double down, went autoimmune paleo, started highly focusing on bone broth and organ meat because at that time there wasn't supplement companies like there is nowadays. I had to do this really organically. And the
Right.
medical system was very much, okay, here's your immune suppressing drugs. And because we were using that system with the frozen embryos, I finally got pregnant on my first embryo transfer.
What were they
And
recommending for immune suppressing medication? Was it like
so
prednisone or was it like a
prednisone,
biologic? Yeah.
yep, they do a thing called, oh my gosh, I was just talking to a client about what it is. Um, oh, I forget the name. It's like this, so it's crazy. It's like this soy egg protein mix, and it's called an interlipid. And they hook it up to your vein, and it has to drip over like 2 hours slowly into your vein to suppress. So, yeah, there's some pretty hardcore drugs that come along with it. And a lot of doctors don't like using them, and I agree with this because there's no evidence on the effects of these drugs long term for pregnancy, because you have to be on them until the placenta takes over, that 12-week mark, right? Because that's your risk of the antibodies
Right.
or whatever's going on attacking the fetus because you're still in charge of it. Your body thinks it's a foreign agent if you have your immune system on overdrive. Normally, when you're in coherence, when you have that level of health, your body accepts that foreign agent, like, hey, this is normal, this is what we want. Um, but I miscarried that pregnancy, no rhyme or reason. It was a
And
miscarriage,
so you were on
and
the intralipids plus the
I was
prednisone.
on
Did they put
everything.
you on any like immunoglobulin IV too?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
No,
Yeah,
no, no
everyone has a different.
hydroxychloroquine.
No,
Okay.
no. They might be using that stuff now. I don't I don't
Mhm.
know if it was around in my day. And to be honest, I don't really keep up with that stuff now, right? That's not my job. I'm not a doctor. I do
Mhm.
not prescribe, treat, or diagnose. If my clients are working with IVF doctors, that's their job to really get, keyed in on what my job for them is to help regulate the nervous system, help, really boost the immune system the best way we can, because of
Correct.
what a lot of people don't understand is that your body still has to deal with these drugs. Your baby has to deal with these drugs.
Correct.
And so if we're using them, we want to be prepared the best that we can to lower any risks that these potential drugs and treatments have on both of our futures, the mother and the babies.
Sure.
So I was really grateful that I had this knowledge while I was using this technology, um, because we know with epigenetics, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, right? You could be perfect and issues happen, and you could be not perfect and issues don't happen. But as long as you're just, you feel like you are doing the best that you can, you're able to walk forward in whatever kind of way you're going.
100%. I totally agree. Now, let's talk about some of the things that you did. So, you gave me a good overview history wise, right? You talked
Mhm.
about the intralipids, you talked about kind of some of the steroids and things that you did. So, let's talk about what you did in between that. Did you start to incorporate some of these natural protocols in between? When did these things come in? When did you work on, some of the functional stuff, whether it's hormones, whether it's gut permeability? When did that come into the mix with this whole sequencing of things?
Yeah. So after the first failed IVF, that's when we
Okay.
decided, okay, this doesn't make sense. Like we have to make changes before we go drop another $10,000 on a treatment
Okay,
that
and
didn't
then
work
so
in
the
the
first
first
one was where
place.
you did the intralipids and you did all the immune suppressant stuff. Is that the first one as well?
That was the first frozen embryo transfer. So it wasn't after the 2 failed IVFs that I got diagnosed with that in the first place. And the only
Okay.
reason I got diagnosed with that is because I followed my intuition and asked for it, right? Because I wasn't presenting normally. I wasn't the full blown autoimmune miscarriage, thyroid issue, any of that. So I was a very silent in my autoimmune. Probably, I don't want to say early stages because it was obviously causing a big enough issue to never see a positive pregnancy test for almost 5 years. But on paper, medical paper, um, there was no like red flag. So nowadays when people come in with unexplained infertility, there's more of a like basis of like, okay, well, let's look here. In my day,
Mhm.
no one was looking there.
Got it. All right. So, what were the big things that you think were holding you back that you started to address? I mean, let's just talk about the food. Like, what was your diet
Yeah.
like before? And what do you think the things were that were instrumental? Like you just highlighted like organ meats a little bit ago. I want you to go deeper on some of the food changes you made.
Yeah. Well, first off, I didn't think I had an issue with my diet. I wasn't overweight. I
Hmm.
wasn't eating McDonald's. I was normal, like what people would say normal. I was eating vegetables. I was
Hmm.
like eating protein.
Yeah.
I was making most of my meals at home. But with that radical honesty and really looking at the diet, I had a very narrow, like I did not have a wide variety. A lot of it was hyper processed, right? The breads, the pastas, the canned sauces. I think they still do a really good job, probably a better job nowadays, but you were eating, the bars that looked organic and healthy, right? Like, um, you didn't realize
Exactly.
that
Yep.
they were
Hmm.
like 43 grams of sugar and had seed oils and gluten hidden in them, like, so I was just normal. I didn't have a horrific diet. Um, but when I first started my diet changes, it was a lot. It was bringing in a wide variety, eating a healthy breakfast, not slamming toast in the car on your way to work, actually cooking something, sitting down and eating it before you leave. Even just like watching how fast I was chewing, and I would get through a meal like twice as fast as my husband. He's like, slow down. Like,
Right.
your saliva doesn't have ketchup, it needs to
Right.
catch up to like help that digestion. So just really kind of basic things that we just don't overthink, but could make a really big impact to the gut health. Um, and it worked. Like I said, I mean, I saw great improvements, but I had to go deeper than that with what a lot of people, I'm sure you see. I picked up the diet book. I've done this diet, and there's a few factors. One, it's not the right diet for you, right? Not everyone needs to do paleo or autoimmune or vegan or or carnivore. The real magic is just finding your food intolerances that you're having an issue with right now. What foods don't work for you, and finding those, eliminating those, and then the other thing is bringing in that wide variety.
Yeah.
That's what's really missing in a lot of people's diets. The other thing is that you can have that perfect diet, but if you don't realize that you need to bring things in to maximize healing of the gut lining, you're not going to bring that nutrients in. So a lot of people are on a really healthy diet, but they're not getting the nutrients that they need because their gut lining just isn't at a point where it can do that for them yet. So that's another missing piece. A lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to like throw in a probiotic and I'm
Right.
good, right? Well, what feeds a probiotic? A prebiotic, like, are you eating prebiotic foods? Probably not, because they're not
Right.
in our normal diet. So are you taking a supplement if you can't get that in? And then the organ meats, right? Like that didn't come in till really probably around my first miscarriage. And after that, I brought them in and I was just hardcore on it. So many people like are like, no, I can't
Yeah.
eat that. That's so disgusting. I was like at my wits end. I was like, I'll
What kind
eat
of organs were you
anything.
doing? Liver? Were you doing everything?
Yeah, well,
Heart,
at that
kidney?
time, it was just liver.
Okay.
I lived in the United Kingdom, so I was really lucky.
Yeah.
I would go to the butchers, they would ground the liver up, put it in my
Nice.
mincemeat. And so nowadays, you can get that here in America. You can buy meat with now I eat the kidney, the heart, the liver, in that mincemeat, get it once or twice a week. And I keep telling people, if you want to save money and you want to maximize your time, do that for your health. Get
Right.
over the grossness of it,
Yeah.
because what's worse, dealing with a little bit of grossness, which actually you don't have to deal with because you don't
Right.
even taste it in mincemeat,
Right.
or dealing with fertility issues
Yeah.
again
Plus
every
you can
month,
get them all in
again,
capsules
again.
today too. They have them all in
Exactly.
capsules now, so
Right.
it's not even a taste excuse. So that's cool. So the organs were a big deal. Tell me about
Yeah.
your gut. Did you do any gut testing to see, was there inflammation? Was there gut permeability? Was there SIBO? Did you have any infections? What else was going
Yes,
on?
in my day over in the United Kingdom, this was 15 years ago, we didn't have that.
Mhm.
We didn't have access. Even when I
Yeah.
did FDN in 2015,
Yeah.
they're big on testing. I didn't have access to that. And when I did, I was already pregnant. So,
Okay.
but that is
You would
essential,
just
right?
assume some of those things were going on in the background and that some of the
Oh
diet
my
changes that you were
God.
doing help with
I
that.
had 100% leaky gut. I mean, with hindsight, with all the symptoms that I had from a really young age, I was probably infertile at like 16, 17, right?
Wow.
I was diagnosed with signs of an ulcer at 19.
Wow. Did you
Yeah,
have H. pylori?
so I don't think so.
Okay.
I never tested for it, and my gut issues went away. So I never treated it either. So, really, with hindsight, what it was is a pretty crappy normal American diet from day one, right? Just that's how our society is. I remember my mom like, "I'm not gonna buy you Kellogg's cornflake or no, the Frosties," right? She's like, "No, that has too much sugar." But I was a latchkey kid. She would go to work, we would get the white sugar jar, and like there was so much sugar in my cereal bowl by the end I was done. It didn't dissolve in the milk. Like so we would like, you know, eat spoonful of like milky sugar. So we just had this kind of normal diet that obviously just over time destroyed. I started drinking, that absolutely obliterated. Red Bull came into the scene in like 1998, 99. We latched onto that. I just graduated high
Right.
school.
Mhm.
And then if you get over to the mental and emotional side of it, when I was a senior in high school, I was working a 40-hour work week and doing school. I was type A. I was always on the go. I was
Right.
an overachiever. I was seeking my worth out of doing. And then you have like some mental and emotional stuff from your family, and you just put that all together, and it's going to cause this chaos in your gut. And so, yeah, the tangible stuff, the diet, the supplements, the testing, the getting rid of the parasites and yeast overgrowth and all those things, essential. Like we are physical beings on a physical earth. You have to play that game. But
Mhm.
what I found after having an IVF baby and then getting pregnant naturally at 36, probably about 5 years into motherhood, I was still perfect. I was still doing my AIP. I was still doing liver. I was still doing all the supplements, all the stuff. And I was now hitting a wall with my gut health issues and all the emotional stuff that I suppressed. My kids started, "Here you go, mom. Here's the gift of motherhood." And they trigger you and they bring out those repressed emotions. And
Mhm.
so I think that functional medicine is essential. It gets you to a certain point. But what I'm seeing, what I saw with myself, and what I'm seeing with my clients now, and I'm sure you experience this too, they're knowledgeable. They
Mhm.
know. They have degrees themselves. They can do PhDs on all the physical things. But when they're not seeing the results, whether just in their normal health or with fertility, that's where we got to look somewhere else. Another protocol, another supplement regime isn't going to help them in the way that we think with our logic brains, our science brains is going to get us our success that we want long term.
100%. That makes sense. What's the, psychological technique that you do? Is it Psych K?
Yeah, so I'm trained in Psych K. I don't really call myself Psych K because I don't follow it like precisely. So,
Mhm.
um, Here, look, this is the basis of all modalities. Emotional
Yes.
freedom tapping, Psych K, eye, rapid eye thing. I wouldn't
Yep.
say
EMDR.
hypnosis. Yep. You're getting to the core of an emotion, right? You have that emotion in your body. We know it's there. We feel anger. We feel, frustration. We feel joy. We feel that. So when you have this underlay of this emotion about an event that probably happened 20, 30 years ago, it's just causing that chaos, right? It's contributing to your subconscious belief systems, the way you think, the way you pattern, and it becomes your reality. So when you tap into that emotion, when you're finally ready to go, hey, this emotion, I'm frustrated at this person because they did this. When you feel that emotion and you're ready to release it, which that's what those modalities help you do, that emotion is kind of like having a poop. You let it go. And
Right.
then it's not attached to anything. It does you gave that event a meaning. A meet
Right.
uh I just said meeting. So
Meaning.
meaning, there you
Yep.
go.
Meaning. Yep.
And so it's that simple. Like you don't need this over explanation. It's just that simple. And so when you continuously do that for yourself on all the life events that you were told that doesn't affect you, like that's not a big deal. Your conscious brain can be like, well, I understand why they did that. That doesn't affect me anymore. Listen to your body, right? Like I was talking to a client and we found this stuck emotion when she was 16. And she was like, I had this friend that she was a narcissist and she did X, Y, and Z. She's like, oh my God, my heart is pounding out of my chest right now. She's like, I didn't think this affected me anymore. And so it's getting radically honest of how your body's feeling and when you're showing up. And you can relate to this to food, right? When I found out that I was highly intolerant to nightshades, right? That was a big part of my journey.
Oh, like potatoes,
Um,
tomatoes?
yeah, like the tomatoes, paprika, they would send my gut. It was always a delay, right? When
Really?
you're into this, you can
Yeah.
really get to know your body. And so
Sure.
when I went paleo for that year, found out I had the high natural killer cells, I went into AIP. And then when I was watching and eliminating these foods that I was eating daily, because most of the time they're good and healthy for most people, I saw my last remaining symptoms disappear within 3 weeks, which is like a little mucusy kind of thing your gut does, right? And
Exactly.
when I was getting into the emotional thing, I remember a time when I was pregnant with my IVF baby, and I'm not joking. I was so hyper focused on diet because I thought that I would miscarry if I had some nightshades. And so I ordered a burger without a bun because I couldn't have gluten, without a tomato because I couldn't have a nightshade, couldn't have the French fries. I mean, this patty came out with a piece of lettuce, and I was going to spend like $20 on it. And I cut it open, and it had paprika in it, and
Oh,
I just was
so frustrating.
devastated. And I held that emotion and that fear because I was out with a friend and her parents, and I didn't want to look like, this person who couldn't eat like there's
Oh,
only a
yeah.
piece of meat. And I took that fear and I internalized it because I ate it. And I was so
Right.
scared that I was going to have a miscarriage. And I didn't have a miscarriage because I now know the body doesn't work that way, but I did get my symptoms back. I did get my gut health symptoms back within
Wow.
3 days. So I still knew that my gut health wasn't to scratch. I needed those immune suppressing drugs at that time to maintain that pregnancy. And when I was looking into the emotional ties to food intolerance, it was like, hey, man, that fear is still there. And if I'm radically honest, every time I look at salsa, every time I look at this, I can feel that fear in my body. And so I had to release that. I had to let that emotion go. And so it could be just these little things in life that you don't think are a really big deal, or your conscious brain has been like, no, that's the past. It doesn't affect me. Well, I'm telling you right now, it can.
So what are the steps that you use to release it? Is it a combination of tapping? Is it incantation? Is it eye movement stuff? How are you releasing it?
You can go even simpler. So,
Yeah.
first off, I want to say they all work. And it's where you are in your belief system. How easy are you going to let this be?
Okay.
Right? So you can get into a whole brain state, meaning you connect your left and right brain. together because usually they're working separately.
Yeah.
So you get into a whole brain state, like a meditation, and you feel that emotion. And either if you're working on a subconscious belief or if you're working on an event that happened, you sit there and you feel it. Let it come up, let it boil.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, if you sit with it long enough, sometimes it takes 5 seconds, sometimes it takes 2 minutes, you'll just let it go because you finally have just given it the time to be recognized.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's just kind of give me an example. So you're breathing, you're doing a meditation. Let's say you have a stressor.
Mm-hmm.
So relationship stress, it's bothering you, your kids are triggering you, whatever it is. Just go through the steps. What does that look like to you? Are you visualizing? Are you breathing? Go through the steps of how you would release something.
Okay, so this is different. If you are in a triggering situation,
Yep.
it's you want to be looking at frequency. Okay, so emotion and
Mm-hmm.
frequency are different. Emotions are the like kind of the note in a chorus, and they go up and down, they come and then go. You can release them, sometimes you hang on to them, whatever. Your frequency is the melody behind
Okay.
the doing. Okay,
Okay.
so when you're in a situation and you're triggered,
Sure.
you have to once acknowledge that. Like, I am triggered because my kid is crying over a red popsicle and not the blue one. Okay.
Right.
Where's that emotion coming from? Because I know as a conscious adult, he's 2, his prefrontal cortex isn't developed. I should not be feeling rage and like I want to punch him in the face.
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly.
so where did I store that in my
Right.
body? What memory? And this is advanced stuff, right? Like a lot of people just aren't going to be there yet because you have
Mm-hmm.
to practice these things. It's like a
Yeah.
diet change, right? Like people are
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I beat myself up because I can't do this diet. Well, you're just so used to living a certain way. You've just got to be, again, you're going to fail. Start again the next day, the next day. This is the same stuff with the emotion and the frequency. So when you're in that situation, you first just have to sit with it. And sometimes you can consciously get a visualization, get a feeling, get an intuitive knowing, like, hey, that was when my dad, just constantly was like, stop crying over that. Big girls don't cry, again and again. Now, that's going to be a deep layer. That's not going to be like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to release this
Sure.
emotion, right? That's when you want to be tapping into other modalities, sessions, talking it out,
Mm.
journaling it out, doing, and working on it. Now, a belief, right? You can do this right now, or your listeners can do this. Take a deep breath and repeat this out loud. I am worthy because I am me. So how does that land in your body? 100% of my clients are like, that's cheesy, that's weird. Why? Like, I'm worthy because I am me. And I sit there and go, what if a 5-year-old said that to you?
Mm-hmm.
What if a little girl said that to you? Like, I'm not worthy because I'm me. Of course you are. Of course
Right.
you are. So why is the 35-year-old going, oh, that's weird, oh, I can't say that? What
Mm-hmm.
is that in your body that is telling you that it's
Mm-hmm.
not safe to be worthy because you are you?
Okay.
And so with that one, that's a subconscious belief. So you can go in and you can sit there and say, I am worthy because I am me. I am worthy because I am me. And you'll usually feel something switch in your body. Now, the key is with ever changing these emotions and these frequencies, you got to show up in real life. This is where the science comes in. The neurons that fire wire together. So you change
Mm-hmm.
an emotion, you change a belief, you change a frequency, whichever way, whichever modality, you have to show up and prove to yourself that that new reality is true. So if you go back and you're not eating the way you know you should eat, right? You've just spent a lot of money with yourself. You've gotten the testing. You know what you
Sure.
need to do, and you're not doing it because you don't think you're worthy of whatever health, life, a baby. Like a lot of people don't believe they're worthy for a baby, right?
Sure.
So you need to show up for yourself again and again and again. Your consistent actions create your evidence. And so one, you need to have the belief that healing can be this simple. 2, you have to show up consistently for yourself and not, get into these belief systems that like, well, I can only heal when I'm on a holiday in Tahiti or in a breathwork session or when I'm being perfect with my diet. No, it's in the mundane. It's showing up for yourself every time and being that radical honest, like, oh, why did that guy who cut me off trigger? Why do I feel like I'm on a rambling
Correct.
with my car? Like, what is that? And so you're breaking it down and then going in. And so when I first started learning this, like, absolutely not. I thought I had to be like, you know, like in this perfect meditation and I have to do this. Well, the more you're just like, no, I can change this. No, I'm going to go. I'm going to do this. And just getting real. Did it work? Do you feel different? And if you didn't, then you weren't ready to shift that. Or maybe you need a different modality, or maybe you need to dig a little bit deeper, right? If you want to go, I'm something about motherhood and you want to explore that. Well, there's going to be some like probably deeper layers than just being like, I'm worthy to be a mother. Well, you might have to break that down and clear some of the stuff that comes before that. So, that's kind of my rant on how you do it, but
Okay.
it can be simple.
So it's important to address, the subconscious stress or triggering
Mhm.
there behind the scenes. That makes sense. What other myths that you hear out there in regards to fertility? I mean, conventional medicine really puts no emphasis on nutrition, very
Yeah,
little emphasis even on supplementation. Some are starting to say, oh, maybe CoQ10's good for egg quality, but that's still few and far between today. And the diet recommendations have been hard, for a long time, especially when you're like, oh, like low fat or low cholesterol. But that's the building block that you need to make the hormones you need to have high fertility, right? So talk
right.
about kind of some of the myths out there and talk about some of the deficits that you see on the IVF kind of repro side from mainstream medicine.
Yeah. Well, the biggest one is age. You know,
Right.
they have that fear factor on you that the number of birthday candles on your cake is more important than
As soon
cellular
as you're
health.
35, you're geriatric, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And obviously that puts an enormous amount of pressure on a woman, and it's just sad because they then get pressured into doing more IVF. You know,
Right.
a lot of my clients, I have a client right now who had one miscarriage. She's geriatric, you know, and then they pushed her to IVF. It failed multiple times. Well, she's now a nutritionist because she studied all this stuff. And
Correct.
I said to her, you never had fertility issues. You had a miscarriage. And your body was just asking for a little bit more. But instead of going down, you know, this path and being very confident that your body can heal and you just needed to give what you need, you went this path with medical assistance, not doing anything to improve your cellular health. And what people don't talk about is that IVF can actually damage your fertility more because you're not capable, your detox pathways aren't capable of detoxing all the drugs and the treatment and showing up. It's like a full-time job. So your cellular health actually lowers sometimes after fertility treatment because you're not supporting yourself in the first place. And so a lot of women get sucked down this path of like, again, you know, all the time, oh, you just got your period, even though you just had a horrendous miscarriage or you had a failed IVF. You got your period, let's go, you're fine. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And so this constant just going and going is actually damaging our fertility health more. And then we really subconsciously believe because, well, we have the proof, it's not working. So it's never going to work naturally, right? I'm never going to be able to do this. So age and treatment, I think, is one of the biggest lies that the industry
Hmm.
is promoting. Um, the other thing that I see
I'm also seeing
is,
lots of women today, even younger women with very poor fertility just because of nutrition being
oh
terrible
yeah.
for a long time and lots
Mhm.
of xenoestrogens and hormones in the food, in the environment, in the water, in the plastic. So we're in this hormonal soup that it can impact even young folks. So even if you think you're
Oh,
younger,
yeah.
that you're on the right track, well, maybe not.
Well, that was me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was infertile by my teenage
Yeah.
years. And so, absolutely. And it's just getting worse. I mean, it was 1 in 8 when I was going through it. Now it's 1 in 6. And, you know, we're going into this huge epidemic. And now we have fertility, you know, IVF clinics that are for profit. And so it's a $1 billion industry. We're up against this wall because women think they're time poor. They don't realize their fertility is innate. You're not broken. It's not broken. Your
Hmm.
fertility is innate. If you have all the working bits, right, you don't have a physical structural issue and you don't have a genetic issue that cannot be influenced by functional medicine, you have a cellular health issue. You don't have fertility issues.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
whether that be a cellular health issue in your gut, in your thyroid, we got to look at where the root cause is. But
Right.
fertility isn't separate. They've done a really good job to make you believe that your eggs sit in this like weird, you know, box shape, oval shaped thing called your ovary, and that the only thing that affects it is your birthday.
Right.
Like, it's let's just bring common sense back to our health. Your egg is one of the biggest cells in your body. It is absolutely affected by the rest of your body and the inflammation that's going on. Your endocrine system, I mean, your brain is literally connected to your ovaries, right? We're all connected, and your fertility starts in your brain. And I like to think of it as like a fountain. It starts, it comes down, and it comes back up. It's like a reverse fountain, right?
Hmm.
Go with me.
Hmm.
And it's always doing this. And so if you have something above your fertility not working correctly, then that's where you want to hyper focus on and find the right path for you. What's the right diet? What's the right supplementation? Do I need detox pathways? Do I need to check for things? Do I have these things, or am I just so type A, over controlling, white knuckling, and
Hmm.
stressing out about how I'm going to get to my ultimate goal instead of just taking a step back? I don't know if you have clients in your practice that you see where you're like, let's just pretend, here it is. This is your answer. I just need you to do it for 3 to 6 months. And then about 3, 4 months, it's not working. And they're like, ping, I need something else. That didn't work. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta find something else. I gotta find another specialist. I gotta find this. And they're just continually running this pattern. That's why the frequency and the pattern work is so important, because once you find someone you trust and you're like, hey, you've got the knowledge, I'm going to trust you, you're going to get me on the right path. If I feel something's a little bit off, I'm gonna have a great relationship with you, so I trust you. I say, hey, this doesn't feel right. Can we find something different? And then it's taking a big breath in and saying, okay, I'm gonna walk this. And it's the mundaneness and it's the boringness of healing that most people start freaking out about. They don't have that control. It's not tangible. Where IVF, supplements, diet, tangible. I'm in control. I'm doing this.
Hmm.
Where the women I work with now, they know that stuff. I'm getting them to a point where they can feel safe in their nervous system to go, okay, yep, I'm on the right path. I'm doing this. And I'm going to slow down, because a lot of people don't realize that you're going to take those same hyper controlling patterns into motherhood, and motherhood is not going to be what you think it's going to be or what you thought it was going to be.
Right. So you're working on a big mindset shift. That makes sense. That's important. Trying to get people to, de-stress or focus on the things that they can control and not what they can't control. That makes sense. Trying to release any triggering emotions. That makes sense. What's next though? What are some of the foundational nutritional things or supplements that people should be taking if there's a fertility case? And again, I get it's going to be individualized for each person, but what are you finding as like low-hanging fruit that people are missing?
Yeah, just going back to what we were saying in the beginning, you find your food intolerances that
So
those
food
foods
allergens.
aren't
So cut
working
out the big
for
food
you.
allergens, right?
Yeah. You bring in
Do you
that wide
recommend an
variety.
elimination diet out of the gate, or do you do food allergy testing?
Um, it depends on what the client wants, right? So sometimes elimination diet is a little bit tedious
Hmm.
and stressful. So getting a high quality test, one that is much more than just IgG, is really supportive.
Hmm.
That will just tell you what you need to know right now. And the thing is that food intolerances change. They don't stay the same. So I've run several MRTs on the same person, and they're different every single time. And it's not because it wasn't correct the first place, is because your gut microbiome is changing all the time. So therefore it can be tolerant to something, your environment changing, so you got to be really careful. I mean, I had a client once say that they were told they took this test and they're like, that's it. I can't have avocado the rest of my life. Well, I am absolutely living proof that that is not true. Now, if you have something that is like genetic, then maybe we're talking about,
Like an IgE
something
kind of
different.
reaction, right?
Yeah.
EpiPen kind of
But
stuff.
yeah. So I think it's just really important if you're focusing on the physical stuff that you find what's right for you. You do it for a time. I think that's what a lot of people are missing. Well, I've done this for 3 months. It hasn't worked. Well, how long did it take you to get to where you are now? Three
Sure.
decades. So 3 months might not be long enough. So giving it time, just being confident. But yeah, I mean, you can do elimination diet. But I think a lot of people struggle with that because they're like, well, I have eliminated it. Sometimes they need that physical proof. So just make
So
sure you're getting high quality. You're not just getting from Target the,
yeah.
the
So
test
we're
that.
yeah. So we're improving food quality, right? If we have gut
Mhm.
permeability issues, if it says pull out this food, but you eat a new food with leaky gut or gut permeability, you'll eventually develop immune issues with that food. So that may
Exactly.
be a moving target as you're fixing the gut, right? And getting the
Hmm.
gut healed. Are you focusing on really good fat, really good proteins? I know you mentioned organ meats, things like that. So you want the cholesterol, you want the good fats, the fatty acids, the A, D, E, and K. You want the good protein. What else? What else are you looking at? I mean, PCOS is one of the biggest major cause of infertility, and there's insulin resistance, blood sugar swings with that. How are you dealing with that component?
Yeah, it comes down because I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, well, you need to have the sweet potato and the avocado and the
Hmm.
blueberries and the salmon and all
Hmm.
these things that get thrown at you.
Sure.
Um, it really, I know you want me to say like certain things, but it's really just find your food intolerances and then everything that you're not intolerant to, bring in that diversity, bring in that wide variety. Yeah, the
How do you deal
fats,
with
the
blood sugar stuff? How do you deal with like the insulin resistant stuff and the PCOS stuff diet wise? Are you trying to put people lower carb or focus more on lower glycemic stuff? How do you approach that?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is I don't really deal with that because I hyper focus the way I talk to people. If someone is really dealing with a lot of PCOS stuff, I really send them to other people who PCOS is their jam, right?
Hmm.
So I don't actually work with a lot of people with PCOS. I
Okay.
work with a lot of people who have autoimmune or they're dealing with subconscious stuff. But yeah, if you're dealing with insulin resistant stuff, I think it's once again what works for you. Because if you say go keto, go on this,
Sure.
low, it might not work for them. What type of PCOS do you have?
Hmm.
There's several types of PCOS. So figuring that out is really important for women. Um, getting natural sunlight, getting into the rhythm, right? I think that's a really big thing that people miss with the insulin resistance is like, what's the precursor to that? Right?
Hmm.
Are we waking up? Are like, do you wear sunglasses all the time? Or do you have contacts
Hmm.
in? Do you have prescription glasses? You might think
Hmm.
you're seeing the sun, but are you looking for through glass? So are you
Right.
walking outside? Are you getting back into a natural rhythm? Are you over
Correct.
exercising if you have insulin resistance? Right? Like, are you just like a gym rat and go, go, go and go, go, go? That's a big issue, right? So it's not necessarily just the food, it's really just a whole holistic lifestyle. But
What about
yeah,
lifestyle changes to avoid toxins? I mean, we know plastics are a big deal. We know going organic and getting away from the organochlorines and the glyphosate and these type of things can be a big deal. We know conventional animal stuff's going to have a lot of hormones.
mhm.
We know that can be a stressor on your hormones. What's your take on that? What kind of changes do you make in that area?
To be honest, I think that's basic 101.
Hmm.
I started doing this 15 years ago. If you are not on board with the things that you can control in your environment, your laundry soap,
It's
your
101, but I see patients with these issues all the time. They
right,
come in.
right,
I mean, they got Febreze scents in their whatever. Those it has phthalates in it. They still have a glass, a plastic water bottle, or they're like, oh, it's BPA free, but it's really just BPS, which is just as bad, right?
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really hard for me not to be just like bull right here.
Mhm.
If you are still doing those things, that are the one of the easiest things to do, right? That is below diet. I think you have all the chemicals that you have in your environment, super easy to do. That is like a non-negotiable if you are dealing with these horrendous issues that are forcing you to use medical assistance or having every single month just be tears of, just heartache after heartache after heartache. If you cannot get rid of your Febreze, if you cannot get rid of, the chemicals in your laundry and all that, like that's maybe where we need to go with the subconscious, right? Like what is
So let's make
going
a
on
list.
there?
Let's make a list. So you got the laundry stuff, you got the Febreze. So what else? Like, what's the checklist you're going to
The
go through with someone comes in where you're at least double checking to make sure these things are addressed? What's that look like?
Yeah. Well, the candles, right? Like
Oh yeah,
the scented
yeah,
candles.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Full
Febreze, your
phthalates.
laundry soap, your shampoos, your makeup,
Hmm.
anything in your bathroom, your
Hmm.
your kitchen area, your laundry area, your car. Do you have those crazy scented car
Yeah. Little
things that
trees
we
that hang from the
right that
dashboard, or
we
whatever.
grew up
Yeah.
in the 80s with?
Awful. Yeah.
I mean,
That's
yeah, in my
nasties.
course there's a checklist, but I'm not. I gotta plug in my computer real quick.
Yep.
I'm not being funny, but those aren't the people coming to me anymore. They
Hmm.
have done all that stuff. And so there, go on the internet, you can Google checklists for, fertility causing chemicals. What is that? And there are so many resources now that um, it's the easiest thing you can do for your facility. The other easiest thing, which I still get reamed about when people just think I'm crazy, water. Are you doing the best to filter your water at
Yeah.
whatever capacity? Not the Brita water filters.
Correct.
You need some heavy duty ones, or, wherever you need to go.
Like
And
an
people are like,
RO
that's
filter.
crazy, right? Like, what are you talking about? It's just water. Do you know
Hmm.
how many chemicals are in your water? Look it up. There's a database on the internet of what your area puts into your water. Do you have fluoride? Is that an issue for you? You got to be looking at these things, especially before you start jumping into working with, um, you know, expensive, high functioning health coaches, or you don't want to be spending your time on that stuff. Come on, we got to get better than that. We got to go to the next level, because when you get into the diet, that is going to be really difficult for a lot of people. I know that there was no way, if I would have found out at the beginning of my journey that I had to go full autoimmune paleo for a certain amount of time, that I would have done it from out of the gate. I needed that time to, integrate better habits. You walk into the grocery store in my day, there was no gluten-free aisle. You weren't subsidizing,
Correct.
those things. Like you could not you shopped in 10% of the grocery store.
Correct.
And so that mindset alone, if you can give yourself the grace of like, okay, I'm once a week, I'm going to take 3 products and I'm going to change them out, and this is just going to be the easy part of my journey, because the diet is going to be more difficult for some, especially if you like to go out, especially if your family's not on board, your social occasions. Those are the stuff that you are going to have to deal with. um, so yeah, sorry, let's go a little bit deeper into what we need to do for these fertility issues, because yeah, it breaks my heart that there are still women out there dealing with this that don't know 101, get the chemicals out of your life.
Yep. Exactly. What else? Anything? Last things that you think are important that you want to address? We talked about
Yeah,
the organs too. Any other big supplements you want to highlight before you go into anything else that you find it was helpful for you or helpful with patients you see?
no, I talk my clients off of the supplement list. They
Hmm.
come to me with 20, 25 supplements, and once again, supplements can be supported, absolutely. But what many people are doing in a fertility journey, they're using them as tangible reassurance. Well, I'm taking my supplements like a good girl, so therefore it
Yeah.
should be
Hmm.
working. We are addressing the underlying, root cause of what's going on first. I will not put you on any supplementation until we know. I like running the Biome FX gut health test so I can see what your gut microbiome is doing and I can see what your gut functioning is doing. That's when
Hmm.
I'm going to use supplementation to target exactly what you actually need to boost. I'm going to bring in the wide variety of food and do the elimination with the food that better, like, well, let's do that so we're not spending so much money on supplementation and feeling like we're doing something, right? Like I ask my clients when they're using their group of people, and they maybe have an acupuncturist or a herbalist, and they're like, okay, this is what they've put me on. And I say to them, all right, follow your intuition. I want you to wake up every day and I want you to practice your intuition and what your body is telling you. Do you need that supplement every single day? Because probably not. There's probably days that you do want to boost up with a little bit more supplementation, and there's probably days where your liver is like, can we please just like stop on the supplementation because I've got to deal with this stuff too. So supplementation for me is, once again, I'm not going to sit here and say this and this. If you really can't eat organ meat, take that supplementation.
Okay.
That's the most biodiversible food that your body knows exactly what to do with it. It gets to the where we want the most healing to happen. But what I really want women to know is like, it's got to be this radical responsibility for yourself. You didn't choose this, you didn't ask for this, but you're here. And
Okay.
the
Yeah.
only person who is going to get you out of this is you. So finding that person like yourself or like me that has the knowledge, so you're not, throwing darts in the dark, but
Right.
trusting yourself that, hey, I trust this person, I'm going to stick to this, and I'm going to give myself grace. Healing doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we're up against as functional, health practitioners is that IVF and these medicines and these treatments and these drugs can give you results like this. They know. They know at the end of the treatment whether or not they're going to have a baby. I've had a client say to me, I just want to know. And our job is the healing, and healing is giving you the time to sort your stuff out. As someone who has been through the thick of this, who has a 10-year-old now, I am telling you that healing doesn't stop when you see the 2 pink lines. There is another journey during pregnancy. There is another journey during postpartum. We are seeing an epidemic in pregnancy health, in postpartum health, in our children's health. And I don't want to put pressure on us women, but we were given the gift of life. We are the providers. So we have to take that responsibility and say, I'm going to do the best that I can because I know it matters for my longevity and for the future of our children. We know epigenetically it gets turned off after 3 generations.
Mm-hmm.
What we're not talking about is you can turn it back on after 3 generations. So why don't you start giving that gift to your child that they're the first generation? We're going to turn back on that gene that got turned off by grandpa, right? Or like I got turned off by grandma. And we're going to
Right.
start giving our children the health back. And that starts with fertility. That starts during pregnancy. And unfortunately, yes, the sperm matters more than people are talking about. But once that sperm helps creates that embryo, it's the woman's job to really support the health, longevity, mental, emotionally, and physically of our children. And so give yourself grace. When you're in the thick of this fertility journey, just know that you can possibly define it when you're done. I'm so grateful for my journey because I was given time to sort my health out. I know that my kids would have been dealing with a lot of issues we see in our children now if I would have just pushed IVF. I mean, I would have never got pregnant with just IVF alone. I had to improve my cellular health. But if I didn't continue with the knowledge, where would I have been? And with my health, I would have
Anything
definitely
else?
been,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
just give
Any
yourself
other
grace.
specific things you wanted to highlight? I mean, you hit a lot of the mental, emotional stuff, which is great, and I think that's a very important component. Is there anything else specific that you wanted to highlight that are just things that people don't think of outside of the things that you already said? Any last kind of parting words on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it before. Your fertility is not separate from your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
So, if your
It's all
doctor is,
connected.
yeah, it's all
Yeah.
connected. So if your doctor is telling you, oh, your thyroid looks a little bit off, but don't worry, it's in a
Right.
range. Your thyroid's off.
So are you testing? So are you looking at thyroid? Are you testing hormones? Are you looking at adrenals? Are you looking at all these things kind of together
Oh
when
yeah,
you're assessing?
absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
And
and the thing is too is that testing is great, but you have to remember testing is a snapshot of time, and that's
mm-hmm.
of your past, not of your future. So
Mm-hmm.
my clients come to me with all the testing. They've done all the testing. And so they're like, "Well, my test results say." And I'm like, "Remember, that's your past, not your
Yeah.
future." So if you want to use test results, you want to use them consciously, and once again, not as a tangible thing, not something you're
Mhm.
controlling. Because if you're still white knuckling, if you're still like in this grip of things, but you're doing everything right and your test results aren't improving, look at why you need to test every 3 months. And if you have a real thyroid issue, you're testing with your doctor, that's different. I'm saying when you're kind of like going on the improvement, look at your body. Look at how you feel. Are you feeling better? Is your skin glowing? Are you sleeping better at night? Look at all those little wins and start adding that up and going, yeah, what we're doing is working.
Excellent. Well, very good. Monica's website, anyone listening, is findingfertility.co. We'll put the link down below. So if you want to reach out to Monica for support on that front, the link will be right there for you guys. Anything else, Monica? Nice chatting with you. Anything else you want to highlight? Anything else important?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Just everyone
Yeah.
be graceful. It's a difficult journey, and your fertility is innate, and most people will get there.
Yep. And you kind of highlighted on the female side. On the sperm male side, yeah, you have to do all the same things, nutrition wise, avoiding the
Absolutely.
toxins. Those are all foundational. It takes two for sure. All right. Excellent. All right, Monica. Nice chatting with you. Have a good